હેલો વેલકમ એવરીવન કેમ છો બધા વેલકમ ટુ અબ્રોડ ટોક. આજે અમારા ગેસ્ટ છે મિસ્ટર ધર્મેન્દ્ર પટેલ. અમે જેટલું ડેનભાઈને ઓળખીએ છીએ, ડેનભાઈ મલ્ટિપલ બિઝનેસ ઓનર છે, કમ્યુનિટીના બહુ મોટા લાઈક નોન ફેસ છે અને ઇઝ અ વેરી ગુડ લીડર. સો થેન્ક યુ ફોર જોઈનિંગ અસ ડેનભાઈ.
Thank you
Welcome.
so
Thank
much,
you.
Danvai.
થેન્ક યુ. અને આ તો હતું અમારું ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શન. સો વી વુડ લાઈક કે તમે વ્યુઅર્સને તમારું ઇન્ટ્રોડક્શન જાતે આપો, સો દે ગેટ ટુ નો યુ મોર.
All right. I think, like, first of all, thank you for inviting me today for in this beautiful afternoon. On a Sunday. Looks like I'm overdressed for the occasion here. I should have
No.
come.
You're perfectly
I should have
dressed.
come
You
on.
perfect. We are not dressed
Yeah.
enough.
But I mean, just like an ordinary person, like everybody else who keeps around, who goes around by minding our own business and trying to do as much as I can for myself, my family, and for the community.
સો લાઈક વ્યુઅર્સને હું એક 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 પોઈન્ટ છે જે તમને તમે બધા અવેર નહીં હો. ઇઝ ડેનભાઈએ અત્યારે આપણા એક કમ્યુનિટીમાં, સ્પેશિયલી વર્જિનિયામાં બહુ મોટું એક ચાલી રહ્યું છે અબાઉટ સ્કિલ ગેમ્સ. સો હી ઇઝ ઇન ફ્રન્ટ લાઇન કે એ અમારા કમ્યુનિટીમાં જેટલા પણ બિઝનેસ ઓનર્સ છે તો એમનો પોતાનો ટાઈમ સેલ્ફલેસલી આપે છે, પોતાનો ફેમિલી ટાઈમનું વિચારતા નથી કે પોતાના બિઝનેસના ટાઈમનું વિચારતા નથી, બટ હી ઇઝ ગિવિંગ હિઝ સેલ્ફલેસ ટાઈમ ટુ ગેટ ધ સ્કિલ મશીન્સ બેક. And we really appreciate you for doing
Thank you.
that.
Thank you so
Danbhai.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome. I think, like, everybody is doing their own in their capacity to make that possible. Like, so it's a teamwork. It's not
Yes.
me or bunch of us, or it's everybody doing that.
No, so true. But એમાં શું છે કે અમે જ્યારે તમને જોતા હોઈએ ને
Right.
તો we feel like more motivated towards like
Right.
okay, if this guy is doing a lot, then I guess એનો 0.5% તો અમે કરી જ શકીએ છીએ ને we have to.
Exactly.
that's
એ
how we
અમને
look
વધારે
up to.
motivate કરે.
કે ભાઈ અમે મોટિવેટ કરે છે કે
Right.
look, it's for everyone. It's not કે તમારે એકલાને જ આ વસ્તુમાં કશું છે, બટ
Sure.
તમને જોઈને એ મોટિવેશન મળે છે.
Sure,
Thank
and
you.
and I think, like, as long as everybody does their own part for
Yeah.
the greater betterness of the community, I think, like, it's fair and square. Like,
That's
and to the majority of the extent, I can say for our community that everybody is
Everybody.
contributing to their best of their abilities.
That's true.
Yes.
That's so true.
ડેનભાઈ, હું તમને થોડોક પાછળ લઈ જઈશ અબાઉટ લાઈક અવર જર્ની, સો દેટ વી કેન ઓલ્સો ગેટ ટુ નો યુ
Sure.
બેટર. સો વેર આર યુ ફ્રોમ ઇન ઇન્ડિયા અને લાઈક હાઉ વોઝ યોર ચાઇલ્ડહુડ?
So I was, like, my native place is Sokda, nearby Baroda, but I was born and raised in Gondal, nearby
Okay.
Rajkot. I was there until 10th grade, 11th, 12th. I was in Vidyanagar. And then I did my engineering from Bangalore University and came to US in 1989.
1989.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it has been 35 years now.
Wow.
35
Long
years.
time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
સો આઈ ગેસ તમે મારા ખ્યાલથી એક નોર્મલ રીતના વાત કરું તો તમે એક ખુદ એક કિતાબ છો એક્સપિરિયન્સની, બિકોઝ 35 years એન્ડ લાઈક એન નંબર ઓફ એક્સપિરિયન્સીસ, એન નંબર ઓફ કલર્સ, એન્ડ તમે આખા પેલેટમાં કેરી કરીને કેવી લાઈક હાઉ યુ ફીલ લાઈક યોર જર્ની ઇઝ સો ફાર?
It has been I think, like, reasonable with lot of changes, right? And lot of, like, ups and downs,
Yeah.
right? But if I would say, like, um, there are a lot more people who have struggled lot more than I have.
True.
Even as a child, I mean, both my parents were teacher in Gondal.
Uh-huh.
So, and, like, we were not, like, very rich, but at the same time, like, we had very stable life with stable income, and then
That explains
and
your
everything
discipline.
else.
Like,
Yeah, and I mean, like, trust me, my mom spanked me enough times, so
Yeah.
kind of like we know how to behave.
ઓ યા. સો ઇફ યુ ડોન્ટ માઇન્ડ તમે શેર કરી શકશો તમે ક્યારે ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ લાઈક અહીંયા કયા યરમાં આવ્યા હતા?
Yeah, I came here in January 1989, so it has been 35 years since I came.
વાવ. 19.
તમે બધા ફેઝિસ જોયા છે યુએસ ના, લાઈક
Yeah.
કેટલા બધા પ્રેસિડેન્ટ્સ ચેન્જ થયા છે ને.
ઓ યા.
You're not trying to tell me I'm old, right?
No, not really. એવી રીતે
એજ ઇઝ ધ નંબર બટ એક્સપિરિયન્સ તમારો
આઈ ફીલ લાઈક યોર ફૂટ માર્ક્સ કે જે તમારા ફૂટ માર્ક્સ છે એને પર અમે થોડુંક અમારા એજના જનરેશન પણ સમજી શકતા હોય ને તો દેટ વુડ બી વે મોર ગુડ ફોર અસ બિકોઝ નાવ ડેઝ ઇટ્સ અ ટ્રેન્ડ કે હું આટલું સ્ટ્રગલ કરીશ તો આવું થશે તેવું થશે બટ વી આર નોટ સીઈંગ ધ કોર કે આપણે કોર નથી જોતા
Right.
that's what I feel like in our generation we are lacking is what ke okay overnight success and success it's a big difference
Right.
out of ke bhai હું જોઉં તો.
Right. I think like nothing is wrong either way. You know, like whether it's overnight success or success takes its own time or whatever
Oh,
at
yeah.
its pace. You know,
Yeah.
nothing is wrong with either way. But the thing is, like I think you just the differentiating factor is like whether how fast you can adopt. You know.
True.
Right. And like some people, like like when they get overnight success and whatnot, and then they kind of like get out of control and like what they don't know then how to
Yeah.
manage
Control,
their
yeah.
life. So sometimes like it's kind of like તમે ખાતા હોય તો એકી સાથે like વધારે પડતું
હા.
ખાઈ જાવ તો then you
હા.
cannot
You have
digest it. So like
digest
you,
કરો.
everything has its own like the process takes time, so you just have to adapt to that.
Adapt to that.
Yep. હું ફરી પાછું લાઈક ડેનભાઈ તમે મેન્શન કરેલું કે તમારા પેરેન્ટ્સ દે બોથ વર ટીચર્સ
Right.
સો considering that how was your childhood like were they strict or like how was it like તમે
I think like it was very simple. I mean I was like very pretty much like like self-controlled kid, like
Mhm.
and kind of like I had to be because like as I said, both of my parents were a teacher, and school that I went to, like all the teachers knew me because of my parents.
yes
Parents,
And like if I go out of my line
Mhm.
in
There is
those times,
someone
like there is
care.
somebody would come in and like slap me or something, like why are you doing this or why are you doing that. I even remember like કોલેજમાં તો અને ગોંડલ ગયો હોય તો like
હા.
with sitting down with friends on a street chalk or something like
હા,
that,
હા.
બેઠા હોય 4-5 friends ને એટલે like મારા મમ્મીની સ્કૂલના બીજા ટીચર્સ આવીને આમ જોવે મને એટલે કે like hey what are you doing here, શું કરે છે તારે આ છોકરાઓ સાથે you cannot hang around or
તું ના
you know.
ના ફરી
So
શકે.
it was like
Yeah,
very
I mean,
controlled. So I had to like be on the lookout every time, like what
Every
am I
time.
doing or not.
You
know?
have to keep up with that not pressure but you have to keep up with that status quo
right.
કે પેરેન્ટ્સ બેવ ટીચર છે બધા બહુ જ ઓળખે છે
Right.
અને you have to balance that
Right.
thing.
And
But
plus,
do you think that it's fun?
yeah, it was. I mean, like I don't know. I think it helped me somehow shape my character.
oh yeah
Right.
Hmm.
Another thing was like that. There were 2 girls' high school
Mhm.
in Gondal,
Mhm.
and my mom was a teacher in one of them, and my dad was in another one. Like so everything was like, I mean, kind of like that was a little bit of
pros and cons
everybody
by
everybody
everybody.
knew, and like
Oh,
as
yeah.
soon as સાંજે હું ઘરે જાઉં એટલે તરત મમ્મી પૂછે કે આજે ફલાણી શેરીમાં તું શું કરવા ગયો હતો
Oh.
I mean, okay.
અને આપણું તે ટાઈમ પરનું લાઈક આઈ ગેસ આપણા ઇન્ડિયામાં ગુજરાતમાં ખાસ કરીને આપણું
Right.
લોકોનું સર્વેલન્સ સીસીટીવી કરતાં પણ વધારે
Oh, yeah.
સ્માર્ટ
Right.
અને ફાસ્ટ છે
Right.
કે અચ્છા તમને અહીંયા જોયા હતા
Right.
અહીંયા જોયા હતા આંટીઓ પંચાયત
સાંજે
કરે.
સભા બેસે ને પછી એમાં ડિસ્કસ
હા.
થાય કે આજે આના છોકરાને અહીંયા જોયેલો હોય.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I had to behave.
હા સો ડેનભાઈ સોરી ટુ ઇન્ટરપ્ટ બધાને ઇન્ટરપ્ટ કરવા માટે સોરી બટ જ્યારે જ્યારે છે ને આ મારી પર્સનલ વાત છે ધીસ ઇઝ આઉટ ઓફ ધ પોડકાસ્ટ તો આઈ ડોન્ટ નો બટ મને વાતો કરવી અને બધું બહુ ગમે જ પણ એટલે મને એકદમથી તમારી સાથે વાત કરતા ક્વેશ્ચન આવ્યો જ્યારે પણ હું તમને જોઉં ઓબ્ઝર્વ કરું દૂરથી ત્યારે પણ આઈ ફીલ લાઈક કે તમે બહુ સિરિયસ છો કે તમે બહુ પણ જ્યારે હવે અત્યારે ફીલ થાય છે કે હું હકથી તમને કહી શકું છું કે યુ આર લાઈક અ બડી
Yeah.
કે જેના સાથે ચિલ આઉટ કરીને વાત કરી શકીએ છીએ મસ્ત એવી રીતે બટ થેન્ક યુ.
It's interesting you brought that up,
Yeah.
right? That I am very serious. I'm like, you don't know how many jokes I tell and everything else. I mean, like,
But it's a
but I'll tell
perception,
you one
yeah.
incident, and I think like a lot of the people from Roanoke area, they know that. So, like last year, like we went to Ahoa, right? And
Yeah.
Jai ne Nirav ne Loco, like so bunch of those guys, about 12 people.
12 people.
They were planning a trip to go from Vegas to Yosemite.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so Jay told me, and I said, okay, I'd like to come with you guys, you know.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
said, okay, and he said, okay, sure. So he told me afterwards that uh, that so he decided to put that in his WhatsApp group that
Uh-huh.
like, hey,
Huh.
and then Dharmendra Bhai is coming with us on that 3-day
On that-
vacation,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so everybody was like shocked and like, why did you invite him? Like now we have to like we can't enjoy
Oh, you
our
have to be-
vacation and all
Okay,
that. I'm like
so
that
okay,
that
so you mean to say
impression,
that you have to behave in certain way.
right,
Okay,
right,
then
and
we
so
have it.
everything, you know. So everybody was like stressed out about it, and this is what Jay told me afterwards, you know, like, and then like so we start our journey from Las Vegas, and like we were sitting in the van, 13 of us,
Yeah.
and after 10-15 minutes, like I just had to start breaking the ice, you know, and like I started telling jokes and whatnot,
Yeah.
and everybody I think like told me afterwards that, hey, Dharmesh bhai, like we never saw your
So
this side of
This
your
side, yeah.
business, you know.
Yeah, but
This
that's
side
what
of your personality, so-
podcasts are about. Like podcasts are like more casual talks than the interview. Or
So-
then the જે વસ્તુ તમે આમ ડે ટુ ડે માં જે ના કહી શકતા હો it's like
I
બેસીને
feel like
શાંતિથી
like
વાત
even
કરો.
મેં ડેનભાઈની એ સાઈડ જોયેલી છે લાઈક વેન વી સી ડેનભાઈ કે કોઈ પણ બિઝનેસ મીટિંગ હોય કે અબોવા હોય કે કંઈ પણ અમે તમને જોઈએ તો લાઈક ઇટ્સ ઓલવેઝ સિરિયસ બટ મેં આપણે લાઈક વેન વી ગો ટુ રિચમન્ડ એ જે કારની રાઈડ હોય લાઈક 3 અવર્સની દેટ્સ વેન લાઈક વી નો કે ભાઈ તમારી એ સાઈડ પણ છે.
right,
છે,
and,
yeah.
and that is what it is, right? I mean, you have to adapt to the occasion,
એક્ઝેક્ટલી.
right? I mean, like if you are on the stage talking about business and something else, you start telling jokes, or if you start like, then people don't take you seriously,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, like if you are on vacation, then you can't like bring your business with you. So you have to have that separation between your business and personal life, you know, and at some point in time it can mingle with each other, but then you got to have that differentiating. But at the same time, it's very important that like you make people aware
Aware.
that this is not the only side of a person, you know.
Course.
And that's also about perspective, right? I mean, like when you talk about perspective, it's like most people give examples of like glass half full or glass half
યસ.
empty,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so like how people look at you is how you have exposed yourself to them, you know.
To them. Okay. So coming to this conversation, મારે એક question છે, એક curiosity question છે. It's like when Dharmendra, Dan, was like 18 years old, right? 18 years old. I'm talking about a whole different perception.
Sure.
If you are looking somebody,
Right.
which is like જે તમે લુકઅપ કરો છો જેને
Mhm.
કે ઓકે આ અમારા એ છે કે જેને આનો હું વાત સાંભળીશ કે મારે હું એને જોઈશ હું એને નોટ કરીશ તો એ જે પોઈન્ટ મુમેન્ટ છે તો ડુ યુ ફીલ કમ્ફર્ટેબલ એટ દેટ ટાઈમ કે હું એમને જઈને પૂછું કે હે આઈ વોન્ટ ટુ લર્ન ધીસ થિંગ હે આઈ વોન્ટ ટુ મારે તમારું આ ગમ્યું કે મને આ ગમ્યું તો છે ને કે એક બેરિયર હોય કે અત્યારે આ વાત કરી આજે ટોપિક પર કે ઓકે ડેનભાઈ તમે બહુ સિરિયસ છો રાઈટ કે આ આવું હતું તો મને એઝ અ માય પરસેપ્શન પ્રમાણે હું તમારા પાસે આવું તો મને એક નર્વસનેસ રહે ઓકે આઈ હેવ ટુ બી કરેક્ટ
Right.
હું એમને એવું આડું તેડું નહીં પૂછી શકું
Right.
કે જેનાથી યુ નો કે આઈ હેવ ટુ બી એટ દેટ માર્ક અધરવાઇઝ મારે ક્વેશ્ચન નથી પૂછવો ને એમાં શું થાય અમુક વાર કે હું તમારે એકચ્યુઅલમાં જે પૂછવું હોય કે મારી આઈડિયાઝ
You
કેવી
miss
રીતે
out
શેર
on
કરું બટ ડુ યુ ફીલ લાઈક યુ હેડ ફેસ ધીસ કાઇન્ડ ઓફ સિચ્યુએશન એવર બિફોર
Not really. I mean, like I think like as when 18, I was in college in Bangalore, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, like it was like 3 of us. We had rented an apartment and whatnot, and we were just living in there, and like we just go into class, do and enjoy our life and whatnot, you know. But I think like again, balancing your education and fun, that was a trick part, you know. Like, but I don't remember like growing up. I would say, okay, like I would be like reserved about going and asking somebody some question or something.
Correct.
You know, like I mean,
that was my point
either as long as like you know what you are asking and like
do you feel like it's upon the personality
I think so.
confidence
Yeah.
personality and how you carry yourself
I mean, like yes, I think so.
nice
So how did USA happen? Like તમારો પહેલાથી plan હતો કે did you already know?
No, so like it was family. Like so, my brother got married to my babi,
Mhm.
and he came here in 80s, and then my mom came here. My parents came here
Mhm.
in mid 80s, and by the time I finished my college engineering in 88 October November, and within 2 months I was here in
Oh,
US.
okay.
So like I
So
had green card
you already
when I
knew
right.
કે ભાઈ હું US જવાનો છે.
Yeah, it was all set for me.
Oh, okay.
So that's why
nice.
I said earlier that I did not have to struggle like
Yeah.
a lot of other people, you know.
Yeah. And it's not કે ભાઈ કોઈએ પહેલા સ્ટ્રગલ કર્યું અને કોઈ પછી
Right.
બિઝનેસ
Right.
લાઈક તમે જ્યારે યુએસ આવ્યા તો તમે જોબ સ્ટાર્ટ કરી રાઈટ લાઈક ઇન અ કોર્પોરેટ.
Not immediately, no. Like and I think like so my brother's family, like they had a lot to contribute to my career as well. Like I mean, when I was in Bangalore, like they and my parents, they supported me through all the education. When I came here, and coming from teachers' family, like I mean, education is the top priority, you know. So as soon as I came here, both my parents and my brother and Babi and everybody like, okay, like so you have to start your masters.
Mhm.
So when I came here on January 23rd,
Mhm.
and the school start on January 14th or 15th, if I remember, in 1989.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
my brother had already gotten me my admission in masters in computer science. So I came in,
Uh-huh.
and like very next day, I was rushing to the
To college.
college.
Wow.
Right?
Cool
And
cultural change.
it's a one day
One day.
everything changed. Yeah, and like so, and my brother and his family, they provided for me for my education and
Okay.
everything. So as I said, like I did not have to struggle as much.
Mhm.
And I remember like so after two and a half after 2 years when I finished my masters,
Mhm.
I got my job at IBM.
Oh, okay.
And so like as I was going from my brother's house, he gave me a key to a car. He says, "Here is a car. Take the car, and here is like $3,000 cash,
Mhm.
right? And go and
Yeah.
start your apartment and whatnot." So, and that was a big help at that.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so as I said, like I mean, I have been fortunate enough to like not get into a situation where like okay, like where do I look?
Yes.
At least until like I got into business, and then
Mhm.
then you run into your own different
That is true.
issues.
Yeah.
So you mean to say like તમને already paths એવા મળ્યા હતા કે
Right.
you were comfortable
Right.
going there rather than હું શું કરીશ
Exactly.
અહીં આવીને.
So like તમે as you mentioned કે IBM માં તમને job મળી. So how long did you work there and how did business come in your mind?
So I started. So what you're asking is like how did I decide to transition into the
Yes.
business from work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So so I started in 1992 January at IBM
Mhm.
as a chip designer.
Mhm.
And so like my first project was like a graphics floating point processor design as a part of one of the team members,
Oh,
you know.
okay.
Wow.
So I did that for 3 years, and then there was a Motorola, IBM, Apple venture going on,
Mhm.
and so I decided to move on because I was, early first few years, it's better to make your career
To make
jump
it
That
to
is true. Yeah.
get better salaries and whatnot. So I went to Motorola
Mhm.
to be part of their team, and then from there I went to Tempe, Arizona, Pittsburgh, to eventually like I wound up being at AT&T Bell Labs
Mhm.
in 1997,
Oh.
right?
Wow.
So transition into the business, it started early on. So when I started at IBM in 92,
Mhm.
IBM was like 415,000 employees. And I think like that was also like 92 to 94, 95. That was also like, I think one of the worst period for IBM.
Oh.
You don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like people were not sure if IBM will survive as a company or not. Like so. From I left in 95. So by the time I left, it had shrunk from 415,000 employees to 200 something.
Oh, like literally half.
Right.
Literally have.
And I knew some friends. I was in Austin, Texas. I knew some friends in Poughkeepsie and Fishkill. These are the towns in upstate New York,
Uh-huh.
and those were like known as IBM towns because they're a very small town to start
Yeah.
with, but they have a plant that employs like 20-30,000 people, and they just shut them down. And I knew engineers. I mean, આપણા પટેલો જ હતા. Like they are in their like mid 40s to 50s and whatnot, right? So IBM at that time perception was that it's a lifetime guaranteed job, like
Yeah.
એ લોકો એટલા વર્ષથી 10-15 વર્ષથી એમ કે IBM માં હોય, so they're
Yeah.
making like $150,000 salary,
yeah.
and which was a lot of money at that time,
Yeah.
And
And
even,
they have bought
outsourcing
like
પણ બહુ હતું.
right, they have bought like $300,000 house, which is
That time
worth
it was
a lot
very
more.
big, yeah.
And then their kids were in college and whatnot, like, and all of a sudden, like overnight, like
Layover.
you're laid off, and like you lose your job.
Oh yeah.
And so these people, like some of them, they moved to Raleigh, different places and whatnot. But people had to make like major like adjustment in their lifestyle.
Obviously, because you have
Right.
maintained that kind of
Right.
lifestyle.
And so that's when like I just casually started thinking. I said, like, you know what? Like, what if this happens to me when I'm in my like mid 40s or 50s?
Yeah.
And so at that time, I mean, it just was always in back of my mind that okay,
Let's have a backup.
and the what bothered me more was that it was none of those people, engineers or technicians or whoever, it was not their fault. It was somebody higher up in the corporation. They made a wrong turn somewhere, like they made a wrong strategic decision or something that they are paying the price for, right?
Exactly.
And everybody,
Someone else is
and
paying
right?
the price.
And they
Yeah.
go out with couple of months worth of like severance package or whatever.
Huh.
But then there is like this big higher up management.
Yeah.
Man.
They have golden parachutes,
Oh, yeah.
So
they can land anywhere.
they can not only
Yeah.
that, but also like if they are let go, then they get millions of dollars to leave the company.
Exactly.
You know?
Oh yeah.
So I was like, I mean, I always then thought like, okay, like I don't know, do I want to leave my career in somebody else's fate? Like, I mean, like somebody else controls my fortune or my
Yeah.
career, like,
Yeah.
and so like that wouldn't be a good situation. So I was kind of like then said, okay, like I want to get into business. So like in 97, I started part-time MBA while I was still working at AT&T Bell Labs.
Okay.
So I started my MBA. So I got my undergrad in electronics engineering, master's in comp science, and then MBA.
Oh, so that is why there was so much. I was gonna ask you, like, why was
Right.
there difference?
So
So
that's-
much difference in the two of your degrees.
So
Like,
I guess
Right.
three, like those who most those are the things which they have the diversification,
Right.
management skills
yes.
and the IT skills
Right.
in there.
So then the thing is like then question is like it's a decision time, right? Like you
Yeah.
just have to decide whether you want to continue in the job or you
Job.
want to like get into the business, right? And this is where like I think like one of the phrases I like to use is golden handcuffs,
Mhm.
right? So sometimes like you get into this comfortable situation where you are going along in your job and like you're making decent like 6 figures
Yeah.
salary, and I was like marketing director, so I was traveling a lot.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Like every month I was like 10 to 15 days I was out of country,
Oh.
out of country as in
like in China, Taiwan, Japan, Korea,
Wow.
anywhere in Europe, even within US. So there were times like I would just come back on Friday, flip my bags, come back from say Asia, flip my bags, go back to like Europe and whatnot,
So how are you managing?
And
it?
like so I was a senior marketing manager with voice over IP product, which was a new technology at that time.
At
in
that time it
mid-90s.
was.
People
It
didn't
was.
even know like what was voice over IP.
What,
So
exactly.
I was the marketing guy for that product, like so we had customer base all over the world. So like my day would start with 6 o'clock in the morning because people in Europe,
Oh yeah.
it's afternoon for them and they want
them.
to talk to people before their day is over. So I would start getting calls in the morning, and then I would like during daytime I would be like, if I'm in my office, then like we would have our regular business meetings or whatever going on, and then in the evening like I would start getting calls from like
Man.
China and Taiwan. And I even remember a couple of times like when we had late conference calls like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, next day morning, like somebody from China calling me and say, hey, like, how come you didn't answer towards the end of the calls, like, and I'm like, okay, I know why, because I was snoozing. I was like,
તમે ઊંઘતા હતા ખરા
Huh?
આખા પીરિયડમાં?
I mean, like, I think like I have adopted to that like for a long time. That is why like I think even now my sleep habits are like very uh, spotty, like so I would
Mhm.
sleep for 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
hours, right? And
Mm.
that's what
Still be
even like
fresh
now,
after that.
like 5 hours. But the thing is like if I get a like dull moment, then I
Mhm.
can take a power nap, like
Yeah.
I can pretty much
Yeah.
sleep anywhere for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And
So the part which you explained about like you were everywhere in like બધા countries ની સાથે employees સાથે બધાને વાત communicate
Right.
manage ને બધું, how were you feeling at that time? Were you enjoying this thing?
like
Was curious or
I was enjoying it in the, and first of all, like in the beginning, like you are interacting with a lot of different people at a lot of different levels, and anywhere from engineer to like VP and CEOs of $1 billion, $2 billion,
Oh,
$5
yeah.
billion companies, right? You are exploring different culture, different food, different everything,
everything? Yeah.
so that just kind of like broadens your mindset, like that it really opens it up, and like you are like, oh wow, like this is also uh this can happen,
Happen.
you
Yeah.
know
This is also possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Every day you learn new things.
Every
and-
day you learn new things. So traveling part itself, I mean, like it gets monotonous after a while. I mean, a lot of people would tell me, hey, like you are so lucky you get to travel the world. I'm like, do you want to here is my ticket, do you want to go for
Step
me,
on
can
my
you do my
shoes and
job?
then-
No, Stephen must be-
Right. But yeah, so
So like
Nah.
when you were transitioning from like a job થી તમે business માં આવતા હતા,
mm,
so was there someone કે તમે એની સલાહ લીધી કે like, hey, I'm thinking this, what do you think? કે તમને કોઈ બીજાએ without માંગે પણ લોકો સલાહ આપે.
Right.
તો so
right. So remember, like I told you, like that I had like this I was in this
Golden
golden handcuff
Mhm.
mindset, right? So I was like on a slow horizon, like okay, like that, hey, I want to like invest something in some businesses and whatnot. And then like eventually, like when I get to that position, like I will kind of like give up my job and get into business,
You were trying to balance both.
I
the
was
things
I was
on
trying
it.
to like
એક base
get
ઊભું
to
કરે.
the situation where I would
Uh-huh.
have enough income that like if I leave my job, comfortable job,
Okay.
I don't get impacted
Yeah.
financially.
Okay. I got
Right.
it. I need to pause it over here.
Yeah.
So this topic, which like this thing which you explained right now, is a very ideal situation to our generation
Oh,
right
yes.
now.
Exactly.
A lot of people
So
are facing
અત્યારે એવું છે કે ઓકે મને અહીંયાથી મેં 5 years આપ્યા છે આ કંપનીમાં. I should grow, man. Why I'm not growing?
Right.
અને પછી okay, forget about that. I have my static salary. Then let me just grow and do something for my backup as a business.
Plan B, sure.
Plan B. So now what happens is, okay, boom.
Yeah.
Okay, plan B is booming right now. Okay, let me just
Right.
leave it.
Right.
મારી જોબ છોડી દેવા દો
Right.
અને હું એ પ્લાન બીમાં જતો રહ્યો વિધાઉટ એની કોર
Right.
ફાઉન્ડેશન એમાં ઘૂસીને પછી વોટ દે ડુ ઇઝ લાઈક ઇન્વેસ્ટ ઇન ધ સ્ટોક માર્કેટ, લોસ થઈ જાય, એ બધું થાય અને એમાં પછી શું થાય કે એટ ધી એન્ડ ઓફ ધ ડે વી આર ઇન દેટ સર્કલ ઓફ સિચ્યુએશન વેર પૈસા બનાયા પણ એની કોઈ કન્સિસ્ટન્સી નથી અને એમાં પછી એ આપણે આજની જનરેશન બ્લેમિંગ ચાલુ કરી
Right.
દે કે સરાઉન્ડિંગ
Right.
અને લોકો
છેલ્લે એવું કહે કે
તમારા
છેલ્લે તો degree
તમારા
છે જ ને.
એક્ઝેક્ટલી
Right.
અને લોકો તમારા એજના ને તમારા ટાઈમથી આઈ એમ નોટ સેઇંગ ઇન અ રોંગ વે, આઈ એમ સેઇંગ ઓન વિથ ઓલ ગુડ કે દે હેવ ફાઉન્ડ અ વે આઉટ કે ભાઈ ઓકે કામને સ્કેમ છે, ઇટ્સ બિકોઝ ધી એક્સપિરિયન્સ
Sure.
કે ભાઈ તમે પણ ડેફિનેટલી અપ્સ એન્ડ ડાઉન્સ જોયા જ હશે. બટ આફ્ટર ધીસ કમિંગ ટુ ધીસ સિચ્યુએશન તમે જે અત્યારે કીધું,
Right.
કેન યુ ઇલેબરેટ લિટલ બિટ ઇફ યુ આર કમ્ફર્ટેબલ ઇન
Sure.
કે થોડું ઇલેબરેટ કરશો કે વાય ધીસ સ્ટેટ ઓફ માઇન્ડ કમ્સ ઇન
Right.
and how did you manage?
So
to
it's like so I think like it's like you are in a comfort zone, right? Like you are cruising through something, and do you want to like come up with a destructive mindset that okay, like that's going to rock the boat,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and that was the situation for me, and I was not prepared mentally at that time that okay, like I don't want to quit my job, like I mean
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm traveling all over the world, and like I have this 6-figure salary and
Mhm.
and like health benefit and this and that. So I
Yes,
said, okay, like I'll invest. So like we bought our first business right here, which is Baymont Inn now, right?
Okay.
Quality Inn way back in 2000, right?
Mhm.
And one of my partners, he was, we had an operating partner, you know.
Oh, okay.
So he
Yeah.
started doing that, and then in 2004, I was still working, and like I was always like in that
Or
process that
keeping
okay,
up.
like
Yeah.
I'm going to take my own time
Mhm.
to make the switch over, you know.
Hmm.
And then in 2004-5, like we were in process of buying the hotel in on Electric Road, right across from the Louisville Hospital.
Mhm.
And again, thinking was that okay, like this guy manages one, he can manage two or
Yes, too.
whatever. But
Yeah.
and then like so it's funny. Like so, what happened is like in I think it was January or February in 2005. I was in China with a customer and my partner here. He called me. He says like, "Hey, I have a situation and I need to go back to India for a while." You know,
Wow.
and we didn't know that like whether it was going to be 2 months or 2 years or what.
Oh
You know,
Lord.
right?
Oh.
So I said like, okay, like let me come back. So I came back here, and then we talked. So we had like my brother and some of my family
Mhm.
members and
Mhm.
friends. We were all of us were partners. You know,
Yeah.
so. I was like, when we came, I talked to my partners and whatnot, and what do we do? And like, I mean, like at that time, like we had invested few $1 million into property, so it was going to be a few $1 million worth of
Yeah.
assets. So it is not
Mhm.
something that you would just say
Yeah, it's not a piece of
it's
cake.
passed on or like let somebody manage it or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I just put a proposal to my partners. I said, like, you know what? Here is the amount that I'm making, right?
Mm.
If I get that money, I'll
You
quit my
okay with it?
job and manage these two properties. And thinking behind for me was okay. So I have my base established
Mhm. Mhm.
where I was comfortable
Yeah.
to break my golden handcuffs,
Oh, okay.
right?
So
So
while you explored that
right,
thing,
and
I
it
figure
just happened. You know,
happened.
it wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't
Yeah.
ready mentally. Like in
Yeah.
the if you look at the time horizon, I wasn't ready at that time. But it just happened. You know, that within a week I have to make a decision. Do I want to do
Oh
it? I
man.
don't
Or
want to do
no.
it. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So I just talked to Nisha, my wife,
Mhm.
and I said
Mhm.
like, this is what we want to do, and like my friend circle in Allentown, I mean, like everybody was shocked. He says like, why would you want to do this? You know?
Yeah.
And I think like and so I have a good friend there, and this is funny.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said like, I'm leaving my job, and I said like, okay, so we have this one hotel, and I'm just about 15 days
Okay.
from closing on to second hotel. You know, like
Mhm.
so I'll be
Yeah.
managing these two hotels. So he's from Kathiawar, right?
Oh, okay.
એટલે so he asked me તો કેટલી રૂમ છે એટલે મેં કીધું 200 રૂમ થઈ ટોટલ
હા,
રાઈટ
હા.
બે હોટલ વચ્ચે
હા.
એટલે he just casually told me, he says, ઓ હો તમે તો 200 સંડાસના ધણી થઈ ગયા. And I was like,
Oh man.
man,
Oh, that
like,
is-
okay.
કાઠિયાવાડી accent માં બોલો.
Right.
બોલે.
Right. So he was kind of like, I think, imitate Ramesh Mehta, if you know. He was a
it's
comedian, like,
Wait,
દિનકર
what is
મહેતા
that?
જો.
right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but I think like that's how I got into that, and like thought process for me was okay. Like I'll have to expand into from that, you know.
From
So
that,
for me, the big challenge was like that. Just 2 weeks before that, I was in China
China.
signing a multi-million-dollar contract with a company called UT Starcom, which was a $2 billion company at that time, you know.
Mhm.
Right?
Wow.
I was signing a contract for our product line, voice over IP product line,
Mhm.
and like a week later, I was
You were
I
completely
bought
different.
this hotel, and I was
Okay.
here in Roanoke.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, so the day we got the closing done in uh, for the comfort suites on
Mm-hmm.
Kegi Road,
Mm-hmm.
that very first day, like the whole staff walked out.
Oh man.
They walked out
That
on
happens a lot with
Well,
us.
yeah.
Like desi log
Wow.
And because like at that time, okay,
yeah.
like some Indian body, so we don't want to work. Or
We don't
whatever,
want to
you know?
work. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I mean, like,
Yeah. તો હા તમે કહેતા હતા કે પેલું
Toilet
સિચ્યુએશન આવી હતી કે
Right. Yeah.
ટોયલેટ
So like
Yeah.
somebody's toilet got clogged up. So I'm just walking down with the plunger, right, to take care of that. And my brother called me. He's a physician up in Pennsylvania. And he says like, "Hey, Dharman, how are you?" I'm like, "Good. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm walking down with a plunger to unclog the toilet." And he was like, "What a difference, like in 2 weeks, but like
2
your
weeks.
life can change. Like you are signing a big contract in China 1 week, and then 2 weeks later you are like walking down with a
I feel
plunger."
like
So
તમારા ફ્રેન્ડનો જે પેલું બોલવાનું હતું ને it makes sense હવે.
right.
Yeah.
Oh man. So like તમે મેન્શન કરેલું કે લાઈક મોટી મોટી કંપનીઝ સાથે તમે લાઈક કોન્ટ્રાક્ટ સાઇન કરતા લોકો મારે મોટી કંપનીઝ વારેમાં જ સવાલ હતો લાઈક આપણા ઇન્ડિયામાં જેમ કે તમે અમૂલ લઈ લો કે ગોદરેજ છે કે રિલાયન્સ છે ટાટા છે મોસ્ટલી out of so many billionaires in India and America, most of them are Gujaratis. So, like આપણા like ગુજરાતી લોકોના બ્લડમાં જ બિઝનેસ છે રાઈટ આપણે એક એવું કહેવત છે કે આપણા તો
વેપારી
આપણા તો
બુદ્ધિ.
લોહીમાં જ ધંધો છે
વેપારી
તો
બુદ્ધિ.
એવી કઈ ગુજરાત લાઈક એવું ગુજરાતીઓમાં શું ડિફરન્સ છે જે બીજા લોકોમાં નથી કે ધંધા કરવાની સ્ટ્રેટેજીથી લઈને જે પણ હોય તમારા હિસાબથી
I think like first of all is like it's like first is of course like motivation. Right? You got to be motivated to do something, right? Then second is I think like ambition, right? And like so in our community you see like so many different business people and like everybody doing a lot of them doing good and
yeah.
not, and then everybody wants to like do equally good ambition,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Third is I think like the support structure, because most of us when we got into business like we just okay like you are 10% partner, you are 20% partner, get money and like get
Yeah.
started and whatnot,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that support structure which is very neat. So the way I call it is like infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
So do you have that or not, right? So motivation, ambition, infrastructure, you got to have all of that around you, right? And all of that has to line up in order to get into the business. So I think like that's where Indian Gujarati community especially like succeed, like it's not like just Gujaratis. It's not like just Gujaratis, but also like everybody. There are a lot of other communities that do that, right?
Definitely.
But આજે like like for example, like if I'm stuck in finance and if I need like say okay like couple $100,000, I think
Yeah.
I know a
Yeah.
few people in the
Yeah.
town or somewhere else like, hey, can you give me some money? And I know that
Sure,
I'll
yeah.
get it,
Yeah. you
and
get it,
that's not easy access for a lot of other people,
That is
True.
so true, yes.
True.
And of course, like in order to get that kind of money or anything like that, or
Trusting
help,
that.
so you have to build the
You have to
trust.
trust. Yeah.
You have,
Exactly.
people have to be able to trust you, right?
કોઈ તમને
And
પર ભરોસો
I-
કરવો પડે.
And trust is also a huge thing for me, like because I always say like it takes a lifetime to build trust, but it just takes a fraction of
Fraction of seconds.
second to break it.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. So, Dan bhai, while having this conversation, do you think motivation, competition, and jealousy,
Motivation.
competition, and jealousy are also a part in business? Do you think
There
so?
is some, and sometimes like good jealousy is good, right?
Mm.
That okay, like so and so has done this, I should be able to do that, or can I do it or not,
So
right?
Is there a
But
thin
at the
line between that?
same time, right? And if I want to grow at somebody else's expense, that's not right.
Mm.
How do I make my line bigger than yours rather than shrinking your line
Yeah.
shorter than mine?
True. True.
So with the right mindset, I think like jealousy and competition is good to an extent with a with a positive spin.
Okay.
With a
Positive spin.
You mean to say there's a thin line. Okay.
Thin line,
Right.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gotcha.
Do you deal with negative things around you? Do you feel in vibes? કે કસેકથી vibes આવે negative? How do you?
I mean, like
I'm talking
yes,
about strictly to business person.
Sure,
Like,
sure. Yeah, you do all the time. I'm like not all the time, but like I mean
Yeah.
a lot of times. But the thing is like there are times that you deal with that and there are times you can't deal with it, then you stay away from it.
તો મારે એક પૂછવું હતું કે વોટ આર ધ લાઈક આપણા બધાના આપણે વેન વી વેક અપ વી થિંક કે લાઈક હું આજે આ કરીશ. તો તમારા એક અંદરથી એક ગોલ હોય કે લાઈક ઇફ યુ ડુ ધીઝ થિંગ્સ દેન યુ આર એબલ ટુ સ્લીપ ગુડ એટ નાઇટ, કે તમે આ વસ્તુ કરો, મેં આ વસ્તુ આજે કરી દીધી એકોમ્પ્લિશ, then I'm able to sleep good at night. What are those things for you in your life?
Yeah, I think like have you made a difference
Mm-hmm.
in your life, your family's life, people
Mhm.
around you, or your community? Have you made any difference? No,
Okay.
right? What are you getting out of like your business or personal life? What are you giving back to the
Mhm.
community? How are you
Wow.
contributing to that? Right? And everybody got to do out for that. It should not be like just me, you know, like it should be like, hey,
Yes.
I'm getting something,
Yeah.
let me give it back to the community.
I'm glad
Right.
you were mentioning that part.
Yeah, I mean, and that's very important for the business part, right? I mean, like it shouldn't always be about like how much extra money I'm taking home, right? And let's say like, are you taking your fair share of your taxes?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Are you contributing to the community
Mm-hmm.
your fair share? Because we are getting better whatever we are earning and everything
Mhm.
from this community, from these people. So why not give it back?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
How do you stay grounded? Like after like we know કે you have achieved so much. અમે તમને જેટલું ઓળખી શક્યા છે, તો how do you stay
Yeah.
grounded after achieving so much in your life?
I think uh, it's I think like your parents and your elders and everybody like
Mhm.
that. The way you grow up, as I said earlier, you can digest certain things, face, you know,
Mhm. તમારા
right? Remember,
સંસ્કાર
like when we
બહુ
talked about like if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
become
yeah.
overnight rich, I mean, like, is
Oh,
it good or not?
Yeah.
Yes, if you can digest it,
Digested.
right? And like
True.
how many people we have seen they won lotteries and then after a few years they're
They're
broke.
gone. Yeah. They're
તમારા
broke.
સંસ્કાર બહુ
Gone.
મોટો પાર્ટ આમાં પ્લે કરે,
It
રાઈટ?
does. Character, yes.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Are you a spiritual person?
Yes.
Do you believe in it?
I believe in God, yes.
That's nice. As I said in our last podcast also, like અમારે spirituality પર એક that's
Right.
our dream, મારો
That's
ને
our-
એનો dream
Right.
podcast છે. We want to do a spiritual podcast.
And also
like
one
so-
more thing. Yeah. no, Go ahead. Yeah.
So I mean, like it is interesting. Like so, like few years back, I remember having my a conversation with my older son. You know, like, and we were talking about spirituality and believing in God and whatnot, right? And he said like that, and he says like, I don't see him, so I don't know why should I believe in God. You know.
Mhm.
True.
So I mean,
That's
like
true.
to my response to him was just think about it. Like I mean, okay, like human being, our creativity is okay. Like what is the most complex thing we have created, right?
Yeah.
A rocket or something that
Oh yeah. Something a
Plane.
big
that lands on the
technology or
moon.
something. Yeah.
That's the most complex
Yeah.
thing, right? Think about it. This not only this Earth, right, but the universe
The
and
universe.
cycle and everything that goes around it, and
Mhm.
the way things happen,
Mhm.
right? And like it's even like just think about your human body,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
You have like body, like in your body, like you have blood, you have food, you need this,
Everything
that,
is set at the
everything
perfect
is
proportion.
coordinating, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
think about like
Think about
so.
that.
I mean, human body is probably like one of the best example of like engineering genius.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
so nothing that human has created has come
Achieve this
close
way.
to
Yeah. Close.
Yeah.
Close to
Close
the
to
way
that,
it's
right?
created by
so
the
the
nature.
way you think is that like that this just does not happen in vacuum.
Oh yeah.
Somebody created it
Somebody
somehow.
created.
Now you want to. Some people want to call it like evolution or God or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is some energy out there that makes all of this happen. That is like beyond our imagination, right?
Yes.
So we got to pay respect to that.
I feel like you were touching a very good topic in it. Like this whole statement which you gave,
Right.
it itself is a whole new topic in our generation. And why I'm pulling back and forth is like our generation and your generation. Nowadays, people are very much opinionistic. ઓપિનિયન બધાને બહુ એક મિનિટમાં આપી દે તમને
Right.
મળ્યું ને અરે આ તો અવાજ
Right.
આ તો અવાજ
Right.
તો બધી વસ્તુમાં બધા પાસે ઓપિનિયન છે
Right.
તો આઈ ફીલ લાઈક ધેર ઇઝ નેચર
Right.
યુ કાન ડિનાય દેટ
Right.
હવે પછી તમે કેવી રીતે તમારા પોઝિટિવ વેમાંથી લો છો
Right.
એ ભગવાન છે કે શું છે બટ પીપલ
Right.
રાઇટ નાઉ આઉટસાઇડ ઇટ્સ લાઈક વોજ કે મેં તમને કીધું એવું કે ઓકે ડેનભાઈ તમે મળ્યા દહેનભાઈ તો અવાજ.
Right.
So who am I to give an opinion? એક
Right.
મિનિટ તમને
Judgment
મળી
No,
લે.
but for
Judge
that,
કરે.
for that, I think like you have to understand people's situation, the way they grew up, or whatever may have happened in their life. Right? Situation may have caused that the way people behave.
They're thinking,
Right.
you mean to say?
Yeah. I like. I was reading a book like few years ago, and like it says like, I mean, that along the lines that everything that happens in your life is because you made a decision at some point in time.
True.
Right.
That's true.
But you decided something, and that will have consequences later on. You may not see it, but the thing is like, okay,
આજે
like,
નહીં તો 5 વર્ષ
આજે નહીં તો
પછી
5 વર્ષ પછી 10 વર્ષ પછી ગમે ત્યારે like.
Yeah.
So I think like people, when everybody's personality, I think like there is the environment, the situation, the circumstances around it shapes people like that,
That way.
Right.
Mhm. That
And
makes
like
sense.
say for example, like in somebody's family, if the father died early age, they're little kid and they had all the responsibility came up, they can become like say dominating nature.
Yeah.
But then you start criticizing, okay, like
Criticizing.
you have to, so before you say okay, like you are
Yeah.
dominating person, or you're this or that, you have to look at the circumstances and see like, okay, like
But that
hey,
makes sense
right?
because ઘરમાં મારા દાદા છે તો I always એમને એવું કહેતો હતો કે દાદા why would like આપણે આટલું બધું છે ભગવાનના દયાથી બધું સારું છે તમે એક 5 રૂપિયા ખર્ચ 5 વાર કેમ વિચારો છો? તો એમને એકવાર હસતા કીધું મને કે મારો સ્વભાવ બની ગયો છે
Right.
કરકસર કરીને
Because
આટલું જગ્યા પર પહોંચાડ્યા છે થર્ડ જનરેશન જ્યારે તું અત્યારે થર્ડ જનરેશન મને કહી શકતો હોય
right.
રાઈટ તો ફીલ ઇન ધેટ વે કે મારા ટાઈમ પર તો આ પણ
No,
નહોતું
no, right.
તો હું મારા બાપુજીને કે એમને હું ક્વેશ્ચન પણ નહોતો
Sure.
કરી શકતો. And while, okay, so we have talked about a lot, but મને થયું કે હું એક બીજો એક ક્વેશ્ચન એડ કરું out of my curiosity is like you have like I said પહેલેથી જ કે તમે આટલા years અહીંયા યુએસમાં રહ્યા and your business ups downs your job experience so you have seen every shades of
Mhm.
I feel personally કે you have seen every shade.
Mhm.
What is the one best moment you feel like કે જે હજી તમે કેરી કરો છો હજી પણ તમારા મનમાં
Most
છે
memorable.
one most memorable most loving or anything you want to express?
Well, I don't know, like if this is a I mean, like of course, like having my family,
Oh,
like birth of
yeah.
kids and whatnot. I mean, those are like most
Most
moments,
Uh-huh.
right? But I think like on the plus side, so like last year, May 8th,
Hmm.
I got into a bad accident, really bad accident, right? And like I just hit the trailer, almost like head on kind of thing, like, and for 10 seconds I thought I was not going to make it.
Oh man.
Right. So
Okay.
but as soon as like that I realized, okay, like I was fine and whatnot, so I just got out of the car and I was walking around and I called my son and everybody, right?
Mhm.
So like in a way, that's, I have been telling everybody before that even, that prepare yourself for the worst, right? So if somebody, like everybody should have a list of, okay, like if somebody tells you you have only 1 hour to live, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yeah.
if you have 1 day or 1 month, what is your list?
1 million
And-
things.
And if you think about it, have you done it? If you haven't done it, why not? Right?
Why not today?
So you got to prioritize based on that, right? I mean, like things happen. How many people, like, I mean, somebody dies, you don't even have will, or your wife may not even know your businesses. And or
You were absolutely
or
right.
it doesn't even have to happen that, right? And like, okay, like, I mean, if your house catches fire, what are the 15-20 things that you want to take with you? Do you have it in one place?
Never
Right?
ever thought about it. Yeah.
Right? I mean, like,
A
do
whole
you
new
have it
thing.
in one place?
No.
Because okay, everything else you can replace in your life, right? Like your house, your car, your
Oh, yeah.
TV, this, but there will be like that one or few special things that you cannot replace, right?
Mhm.
Do you have it? And are you prepared for that, right? And I think like we even did a seminar or class or something like that
Mhm.
in one of the ABOA's general body meetings like few years ago,
Mhm.
right? So, and to an extent, like I was ready, as in like
In
I
that
had
state of
planned,
mind.
but at that time, I'm like, for a second, I thought like, okay, I was dead, right? And then, like, so I made it through that. So that was a like,
Mhm.
that's a happy moment in a way, right?
Yeah.
But then also, like, the support structure that we talked about earlier, you
Mm.
have it around you, right? And believe it or not, like, so um, first I called was my son in Colorado. I did not want to call Nisha right away because I didn't
Mhm.
want to scare her.
Mhm.
And then I called Kirtesh Patel,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And I'm like, I called up the phone, and he was at that time sitting at his house with Deepak Bhai,
Mhm.
and they were talking. And so I just picked up the phone and I called him, and I said, like, so as soon as he answered, he says, like, Dharmendra, you are going to live 100 years because we are just talking about you. And I'm like,
Oh, man.
you know what, Kirtesh? I know that. And he's like,
Wow.
I said, like, I know that. And I'm like, I just gone into a wreck, and this is what happened, you know? So, I mean, then he came along, came over
Mhm.
where I was at and
Mhm.
whatnot. But that time, like, it's good to know the people that differentiates who are your true friends and
Mhm.
not, and like people who it's good to know that there are people who will look out for you, you know,
Yes.
Mm.
or your family,
So, like while growing as well, you need to be surrounded with you.
people, right
It's not
people,
like you and your growth.
right,
People.
exactly. It's a give and take, right? And like it, I mean, people got to be able to trust on me that okay, like if anything happened to them, or like okay,
Mhm.
if they need anything, any support or anything like that, that I am there, and same thing for me because
Yeah.
everybody needs everybody else.
While explaining it, my eyes were back at that. It's a good quote. Give and you will receive.
Yep.
So I feel like you explained pretty much everything around that part as well.
Yep.
Do you ever feel like you want to write a book? No. No. But your life is
I
full of
read, I
your
read, but
life is full of shades.
right.
That's what I feel
No,
like.
no.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, Dan bhai.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yes,
so
thank you
much
for giving like
for
2 hours of your precious time on a
No
weekend.
problem. Yeah.
Not many people
thank
do
you.
that, you know.
Thank you for
And I think
trusting
like
us.
and you guys are doing a great job here, you know, like and helping everybody share their stories, and sometimes like it also helps them come out of the shell, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So
And that's the
બેઝિક અમારું જે આમ વિઝન હતું ઇટ વોઝ નોટ લાઈક કે ઓકે ચલો 4 કેમેરા લગાડી દીધા ને આપણે વાત કરીએ બટ માય પરસેપ્શન એન્ડ હિઝ પરસેપ્શન વોઝ કે એવા એવા લોકો છે એવા અનસંગ સ્ટોરીઝ છે
Yeah.
કે જે અમને તો ફાયદો કરશે જ કેમ કે વી આર ફીલ ફોર્ચ્યુનેટ કે અમે
અમે અહીંયા
તમારી
બેઠા
સાથે
છે.
બેસે લોકો કેવા એવા પણ હશે કે જે તમે છો કે કોઈ પણ જે પણ અહીંયા ગેસ્ટ આવે એમને ફોન કરીને કહેતા હશે કે આઈ નીડ યોર ટાઈમ લુક આઈ વોન્ટ ટુ ટોક ટુ યુ
Yeah.
hey I want to learn from you, hey I want to learn this thing. So આનાથી હેલ્પ કરશે પરસેપ્શન
Yeah.
લોકોને ચેન્જ
And it is like sharing your stories, sharing your experiences and things like that. I think it helps people, and you as a person should feel proud when you realize that somebody has learned something
Mhm.
from you. And I'll give you two examples. Like one is like I keep going to this golden handcuff story, right?
Mhm.
yeah
So there is this one person in Roanoke. I'm not going to name the person because I don't have permission.
Mhm.
But so like casual, like so I went to their houses and I was talking to her like what she did and whatnot and what I did and whatnot. And then we talked about like how I made my change
change
in
yeah
career and whatnot. And she was I think like an engineer or something like that, working for some company from here, you know.
Mhm.
And so we talked, and I said like how I felt like a golden handcuff, and like I finally broke it and whatnot. And then it's a normal story, okay, normal discussion. Like so, after 2 years, like we were at a party, and she approached me and she says like, "Hey, Dharmendra bhai, you know what? Like, remember you told me about like that golden handcuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." Just like I left my job and I'm in business now.
wow
Wow.
Like, okay,
wow
I'm glad to know that, you know.
So finally, before we end this like fantastic podcast that we have, can you tell me couple things that you would like to suggest કે આપણા young viewers ને who have just moved to US or who are planning to move to US, એ લોકોને શું તમે એક તમારા એક્સપિરિયન્સથી શું સજેશન આપશો કે they should do this to be successful in US?
I think like we talked about it earlier, have the motivation,
Mhm.
have the ambition, and have the correct support structure around you,
Mhm.
you know. But also the thing is that I mean like also like define what you want the success to be as,
Mhm.
right? And success for you is different than success for me.
It's different.
So you got to define it, right? And whatever you would do in terms of like for your success, right?
Mhm.
And like the business or whatever, just think about like basic principles of the business. Like, I mean, say, is it scalable? Is it sustainable? Is it flexible? And is it for the better cause of the community, you know? Right? And you can get into a drug business and that you
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
nobody wants to, right?
That is absolutely true.
All
So-
right. So I feel like a podcast for me is every time it's a therapy. Whatever I consume, I feel like it's a therapy. Thank you
Right.
so much, Denbai.
Yeah.
This is Denbai for you.
Yeah.
And I'll send, attach, and do whatsoever I can to share this podcast personally because it's relaxing to see
Yeah.
and listen. Thank you.
Can I say two business things
Please.
before we end?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So for everybody, all the business people,
Uh-huh.
first one is like think of a machine is an idle machine
Mhm.
is a liability. Running machine is an asset. Think about it.
Wow.
Right. So say for example, any business
Uh-huh.
you are in,
Mhm.
you have some kind of machine. If you're in hotel, there's a room. Right.
Mm.
Idle room is a liability. Running
Yeah.
room, as in rented
Nobody's
room, that's
thinking
an
this
asset.
way.
Right.
Nobody's thinking
So
this.
think
Yeah.
of that. And second thing is like as far as there is a difference between business and assets, right?
Mm.
Asset business is like generating income when you are running it, whereas asset is something that generates income
Income.
even when you are
you're-
sleeping,
Yeah.
right? So keep those two things in mind.
Wow. Thank you, Dan bhai.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, guys,
All right.
this was Denbai for you.
So guys, આ હતો અમારો પોડકાસ્ટ. તો પ્લીઝ લાઇક શેર એન્ડ સબસ્ક્રાઇબ એન્ડ પ્લીઝ તમે લોકોએ બહુ સપોર્ટ કર્યો છે અત્યાર સુધી એન્ડ કીપ શોઈંગ દેટ સપોર્ટ એન્ડ વી રિયલી એપ્રિશિએટ દેટ. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ ગાઈઝ.